Hey, so thanks for joining us again. It's the Return podcast. I have a special guest here today, Asia. Asia, please introduce yourself and what you do with Karuti.
Yes, sir. My name is Asia Kirkendall, and I am the CFO for Karuti right now. Looking forward to being a part of this very important mission.
Why you say right now you about to leave or something? What you doing?
No, I'm in the zone today, okay? I'm in the present moment, and all that exists is right now for me, okay?
Okay, okay. Dang.
I've really been I've been flowing all day long.
I like that. Let me type my little name under here so people can know who I am too. I like that idea. Please say your name.
Yes, sir.
So today we're going to be investing. We're going to be talking about retail investors, particularly those who are considered non-accredited, just so that we can clear up what accredited and non-accredited means. Non-accredited investors are people who accredited investors are people who make 200,000 annually for the last 2 years, or families who make 300,000 over the last 2 years, or people who have $1 million net worth outside of their primary residence, right? So that would be you have your primary residence, that's not included, but let's say you have two other properties or several other properties that have a net worth of about $1 million, then you would be considered an accredited investor. It also includes institutions like banks, VC funds, those type of things as well. And then there's certain people who hold certain licenses who are also considered the biasman license who are also considered accredited investors. Everybody else under those lines, when it comes to income or net worth, would be considered retail investors, and those retail investors are what we're focusing on today because that's what we're about, right? We're about crowdfunding, which means that we are talking about retail investors.
All right, so I'm excited because I found a really cool article talking about mastering the art of ownership and mastering the keys to success. So, how do you want to start it off?
I don't know. You can pull the picture out. You got the picture. You want to share it? All right.
Let's do it. Okay, so this is an article I found on Forbes. Knowing the topic we was discussing today, talking about retail investors, a part of the theme that keeps coming up when we have these conversations is how do we help people shift their mindset from thinking about being a worker, a consumer, living life, to really zooming out and kind of what this article started by saying is think like a boss. Okay. So for me, when we talk about the mindset of investors and thinking like a boss, for me, it's the switch between, being an individual, whether that's you as a single person or you as your family, managing the day to day life versus zooming out and really having that high level view and thinking more like a leader, whether you're a leader in your family or just a leader for yourself. And so when we talk about thinking like a boss, it's really understanding, yes, you have your short term immediate needs. Food has to get on the table, rent needs to be paid this month, but also you're going to have your long term needs. Like, the kids need to go to college, or, somebody's going to need a new house or a business investment. And so, really thinking like a boss is being able to manage my long term needs with my short term needs and knowing how to balance the two. And so, that's the first part that stuck out to me when you're talking about mastering the art of ownership.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, from an investment standpoint, it's very important to master ownership. It's going to be even more important as we move forward in the industry and life cycles through the ups and downs of the economy. Those things are going to be hugely important as far as mastering ownership. One of the things that I found, particularly about investors, is that investment used to be an exclusive club for people who were high net worth individuals that we talked about or accredited investors. But now, since 2016, regulation has opened up to everybody, retail investors, anybody who is interested in investing. And I wanted to give a stat. Let me share my screen real quick. Um, let's see. I'm gonna share. But in this stat, it gives the information about how big investing is going to be in the future and private investing particularly. So that's things that is outside of the stock market or bond market. That's what they consider private investing. Globally, it's going to, I think it's about 14 trillion right now, but it's supposed to be over 25 trillion under management by 2025. So that means that people will be investing in things outside of the stock market and private investing. And the great thing about crowdfunding is that it allows you as a retail investor to be able to invest side by side with these big names like your guy, Dalio, and some of these other people who are out there investing globally.
Yeah.
That is the cool part about it that I see crowdfunding open up. Also, I read the other day that crowdfunding is supposed to hit almost 50 billion in the U.S. That would be almost 10 times as much as crowdfunding is right now when it comes to crowdfunding companies or whatever it may be. And so that'll be a huge thing as well. 10 times as much crowdfunding by 2030. People investing, they're backing their companies, their products, their projects directly with consumers by 2030. I think that's exciting.
So let me ask you this, because when you brought up this stat earlier, this question didn't come to mind, but it's coming up now. And so, with the increased investment in the private market, which means less going into the public stock market,
Yep.
aside from crowdfunding regulation being relatively new, why do you think people are looking more to invest in private markets? Do you think there's some like mistrust around the public corporations, or is it just the crowdfunding regulation? What do you think it is?
That's a good question. I think it's a combination of things. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. Like I invest in the stock market, but I'm starting to lose more and more trust in the corporations or the people, specifically the people that run these startups, the people who
Mm-hmm.
are the heads, whether it's, you know, part of the thing or whatever it may be. They're aligning themselves with people and things that I don't necessarily agree with. They're also they went from free speech in a lot of ways to centering certain people
Yeah.
under the guise of free speech, right?
Yeah.
Under the guise of being like, yo, we're open, but in
Yeah.
reality, we're not, right?
Yeah.
So I see these things happening and I don't see them getting any better. And so I am going personally
Yeah.
looking at it and saying, okay, I think more and more people are going to start giving to things that they believe in,
Yeah.
and especially if there are vehicles like Reg CF or D or A plus to be able to do it, it will allow them to be able to give to the founders of the platforms who are geared towards what your thought of what the world should be versus some individual's thought of the world. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Because that's something else in that Mastering the Art of Ownership article that I pulled out was in something we talked about earlier too. Investing in things that excite you as a person or things that align with your values, or like they say, invest in what you know.
Right.
And so, yeah, I agree. I think it's a combination of things, and it just made me even a little more excited, as if there was more room to go, just about seeing this system that hasn't worked for the general public of people, and really seeing how, okay, look, we're just going to create our own solutions. If we don't align with these corporations, if they're not making their decisions in the interest of the people, fine. Let's go align our dollars and our energy with the private companies who are looking out for the community, doing the things that need to be done.
And that's going. I mean, it's going to accept. It's really going to flip the script for everyday people, right? It's going to allow access to, um, from anybody from a teacher to a nurse to, a plumber to someone who's an Uber driver to whoever. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, whatever you do, however you work, you now will have access to be able to invest and be a part of that growth.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, you will be investing in people and things who can compete with these bigger companies, right? And that's going to be
Yes.
important because representation is important, right? I'll give you some stats. There's about 1,000 startups in the United States that are unicorns or considered unicorns, right? And only maybe about 12 of them are black or Latino
Mm-hmm.
owned or have like some type of black founder or executive. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they were fully founded by
Mm-hmm.
a black person, but they have somebody who's an executive level or founding level that's on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That is 90, that's barely 1%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of
And a
us
unicorn
unicorn.
is a billion-dollar company, right?
$1 billion company. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. We should break that down. Thank you for doing that, right? So
Yeah.
$1 billion company, right? And then as you go up to the decacorns and then you go up to like the $1 trillion market cap companies, there's nobody. Like there's nobody in those areas, none of us in those areas. And so we are then pushed into investments that we may not necessarily agree with. I may not necessarily agree with everything that Tesla does, right? Or I may not agree with a lot of things that the CEO does.
Yeah.
But man, he's gotten so much money and that's where everybody's investing in. So that's the only car that I can go out. That's the only option with the things and the features that I want
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But what if there's another startup, right? What if there's some other company, some person who's built a better vehicle, right?
Yeah.
That looks like you or I, or just has different mindsets on what the world should look like. Well,
Yeah.
now you can invest directly into those companies, and you don't necessarily have to say, "Well, I'm limited to what's on the stock market," right? As far as investing, you
Yeah.
can say, "No, I want to invest in this founder and follow their journey."
Yes. What I'm looking up now, Dr. Polis, the guy who I told you I had a conversation with, he told me about Derek Automotive, which is a black-owned car company. And so, just for fun, I'm just going to pull it up, and we can explore it because, to your point, I think it's just a matter of at some point being exposed to alternates because
Right.
these large corporations, they do a great job at making it seem like those are our only options, like
Right.
they're heavily incentivized in making sure we believe that. So Derek Automotive,
Ooh, look at that.
and I want to say he said they do electric
They
stuff,
do. I think those are electric cars.
right? So let's see what else they got. Reducing global carbon emissions, patent technology, recharges as you drive.
Isn't that wild?
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And this is what I'm saying. Like this gives us the opportunity to be able to do these things, right? To invest in these founders, right?
Yeah. Look at that. That truck looks nice.
Isn't it? Yeah. The other one looked like almost like an Audi for a second. So the one
You know what I'm
before.
saying? And okay, so look, let's talk about it because that's the other thing too. Like, okay, yeah, there are alternatives, but do the alternatives look good though? You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, so,
Right, right,
like I
right.
still I still want to look good when I'm driving down the street. Don't get it twisted.
So to wrap it up, right? We are looking at a huge market. We're looking at opportunities, right? And we want to be able to invest in those companies. All of us do want to be able to invest in companies and products that represent us. Now,
Yeah.
let us be clear. FINRA always requires us to say this. We're going to say this at every single, podcast. This is not investment advice. We're not financial advisors. We work with a crowdfunding platform, right, that is up and coming. But if you want more information on rules and regulations and also risks, visit sec.gov and finra.org. And also support our campaign. We've launched our campaign on WeFunder. So it would be www.wefunder.com/Karuti. And you can see what we're trying to do, right? What we're trying to build is a broker dealer. Um, and look at our story. If it moves you, by all means, give. Asia, you want to say anything?
Hey, I just echo on what you said. If you're here aligned, if you're listening to this message, first of all, then you're already in the right spot. So if you want to join other folks who are really putting in that work to move our communities forward and evangelize for ownership, then you're in the right place and stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us all. We'll get with you next time. Take care.
Peace.